What's up guys, Marco here, welcome back to another lesson. Today it's all about having fun playing a beautiful minor chord progression. The main goal here is to draw a roadmap that will show you all the musical elements that you can use to make your minor chord progressions sound more colorful and fun to play. Of course, we can't learn them all, we can't use them all, so we have to pick one, and I think the most beautiful is the 1-4-5. We're gonna play it in the key of G minor. So we have the G minor chord, C minor, and the D major chord. Now step one, forget about how good you are right now. We all start with the same basic chords. And so the very first step, you really want to analyze the chord progression and the chords that you are playing. And if you are a beginner, you want to learn these chord shapes. So we're going to be playing a G minor chord with 0, 2, 3, and 1. A C minor chord with 0, 3, 3, and 3. I'm playing a bar chord on the fret number 3. And a D major chord, which is played with 2, 2, 2, and 0. Now, in case you were wondering why I call this chord progression the 1-4-5, is because I was referring to the scale degree on which each chord is built. The G minor chord is built on the first degree of the G minor scale, the C minor on the 4th, and the D major on the 5th. Now bear in mind that we are borrowing this chord from a different scale. In fact, in the minor key, the chord 5 is actually minor. So we should be playing a D minor chord. But we can borrow the D major from the harmonic minor scale. Of course, if we use the major chord, we can make the chord progression sound more dramatic. Of course, once we learn the chords, we can beautifully play them with the strumming technique, which is the most simple right hand technique. Now I know exactly what you're thinking. Come on man, just give us the good stuff. Give us something nice to play. Well, we are getting there. And let me tell you something guys, even the most simple strumming pattern deserves all your love, heart, and soul. So make sure that you don't just strum the strings up and down. Diversify your strumming technique and make it colorful. Make it dynamic. For example, I like to focus on certain strings. I don't like to strum all the strings all the time. Now we've been strumming these chords so much that our fingers get so tired that at some point we can't play these chords anymore. So one day we just put down the wrong chord shape. We kind of get rid of one finger and we realize that yes, we made a mistake, but what we just played sounds beautiful. So you soon realize that you can get rid of odd fingers around the chord shapes that you already learned. For example, C minor and the D major. Let me be honest with you guys, you don't have to know the music theory behind all these changes. You can try different fingering and see if you like the chord. Of course, if you really want to know which chord you are playing, you gotta open a music theory book, analyze the notes, and figure out the chord. But you can come up with a lot of different variations easily. Now strumming is good, but fingerstyle is even better. You soon realize that you can actually pluck the strings with the right hand fingers. So you don't have to play them at the same time with the strumming. You can actually single out the strings. And of course it can be overwhelming, but we can start simple. like this. The Pima, the most famous and popular fingerpicking pattern, just with the thumb, index, middle, and ring. Of course, guys, we are 100% in control of what we play, so we can combine now different elements. We can have the strumming technique combined with the fingerstyle technique, and we can use these lovely chord shapes, these lovely variations that we just learned to create something that is already quite colorful. Now, when you are introduced to the fingerstyle technique, the chances are that you also get closer to the classical music, because the fingerstyle technique is used in classical music, especially in classical guitar. And so you start listening to this classical music, classical repertoire, and it's going to influence the way you see and you practice the chords. So you end up playing and transforming the same chord progression in something like this. Now be careful, because if you get too close to classical music, you might end up start practicing something called broken chords, which are chords broken down into single notes. So if the G minor chord is made up of the notes G, B flat, and D, you start playing these single notes just like a classical arpeggio. And you can do the same thing for the other chords as well. And you can also move these chords in different positions. Now, practicing broken chords suddenly open up something really interesting. You realize that you can move the same chord in different positions. Of course, you have to change the chord shape, but the same G minor can be played in different positions. So these are called triads. The triad is the most simple chord that we have in music. So the same three notes that make up the G minor chord can be played in a different order, in a different position. C minor, and the D major. So you learn the chords, we learn beautiful variations. You can use the fingerstyle and the strumming technique. You can move these chords in different positions. You also learned a little bit about classical music, and your technique is awesome. There is still something missing though, is the melodic side of this chord progression. How can we add a melody? That's the question you're asking. And so I'm going to give you the answer. Well, the easiest way to come up with a melody is to use a scale. Now, if we are in the key of G minor, we can learn the G minor scale, which is going to give us all the good notes that we can use over a chord progression in the key of G minor. The G minor scale is this one. Now, the easiest way to come up with a melody is to play a chord and then you take your time to play around with the G minor scale. It's a very simple exercise because it is done without the tempo. You strum one chord and then you play the G minor scale. You strum the second chord. And the third chord. Just a quick tip, always start the scale with a note that make up the chord. So if I play the G minor chord, I'm gonna start with either this note, or this note, and then I'll play the scale. So of course I can also mix things up. For example, second chord, and the third chord. We will also use the G harmonic minor scale over this chord, which is played with the notes G, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F sharp, and G. So we have it here on the fret number 9, but also on the fret number 2. So when I play the D major chord, I can use the F sharp. Quite of a roadmap, to be honest with you. So many different musical elements and different techniques to be used over this chord progression. It's a lot of stuff squeezed in just one video, but I really wanted to show you all the cool things that we can do over this minor chord progression. The tabs are also available on the Patreon page, so if you need the tab, make sure that you download it. You have all the things and all the examples that I played throughout the video. Now I'm gonna leave you to practice all these examples and make sure that next time you try a different chord progression, you think about some of these elements and maybe just start implementing some of them in your playing. Good luck with this lesson, and I'll see you soon.